Hello guys, thank you for checking out my video. So this video is going to be about codeless app creation and how I did that with Nest. So basically my experience with Nest. I am not a developer and I knew nothing before about developing applications before this experience. I just thought one day that, you know what, I would like to make, I just wanted to make a mobile application, and I just had some time and I didn't want to spend any money on it. And so I chose Nest because it's free and it seemed to me to have a lot of potential. And right now, as you can see, I just downloaded Nest. Installed Nest. I'm starting it up. And what the creators of Nest propose Nest as is that it is basically very simple, efficient codeless app creation that also is meant for developers and non-developers alike. And for developers, it'll cater to their needs by making things more efficient because they won't have to code over the same redundant things again. And you know, a lot of features. They list lots and lots of features. And for non-developers, it just, the main key point being that they could make applications without any coding knowledge, and just not just a set amount of applications, but a large variety. As you can see right now, I just started a new blank project and I set the ID, the title, and I chose the icon images and the loading screen images, and I will be logging into my Nest account, which you can make at the website when you download the software. And how I went about learning how to use Nest and the whole mobile application development is that on Nest there are sample applications, and with these sample applications I broke one down. I broke the JOB24 application down because it just seemed to me to have the most depth and just something I could learn from the most, and something that will provide me with the most information about how the parts of Nest work. And this first video is going to be about forms. Forms are the pages of an application. Forms are what Nest uses as the pages of applications. And as you can see, as you can imagine, forms are very important, and because applications are all about how pages come together, and all these different pages come together with certain functions and create this application that serves a solution to a problem or make something more convenient. And the JOB24 application that I broke down from the sample application list is a temporary job finder. And what it what it's what it does is that it, according to your location or your desired location, you can find temporary jobs for like your specified, you know, categories and what you want from that job, like wage, hourly, times you would like to work, and stuff like that. And I know this because I took my time to look at the application, because I wanted to know what kind of end result that I was going to get while I was piecing together and learning how to create an application. Okay, let me cover what I did up until now. I've basically started the first main form, and I'm customizing it, and I went through and edited all the sizes. I added buttons and added and then used style classes. And style classes is like these I obtained from the file itself, the sample job 24 sample application files. I just I just use those to use in recreating the app, because sample application I mean the style class is something that seems to me is they're templates, but it's not provided in all the projects. So it's not like a main source where you obtain it from. It's different for each project. So what I did is I just took the style class templates from the sample application, and I just inserted into this new project that I started previous to, well, as you saw before, I just inserted it like previous to starting to edit all the main form and stuff like that. And so like the background, the job 24 logo, and all the sizing, it was already all it's done with the sample class source. And there are still some things that I need to edit, like the sizing, to get everything right, because properties is what makes an application on Nest. Nest is all about, editing, customization, and that's what seems very overwhelming at the beginning, because you click a component, or even prior to clicking a component, you see this long list of components, and it just seems so, advanced for a non-developer. It just doesn't seem very user friendly, new user friendly basically. But if you really get to know it with some determination and some guidance, I feel like you can really create an application that you desire. And that brings me to my second point. That brings me to the main point of why I'm making this video, is because it took me around 2 months to develop this application, after taking the job 24 app and then pulling it all apart and seeing how each little part of that works, and then piecing it together. So it really took me 2 months to understand how the job 24 application works, and in return, how the Nest platform works with its components, and how applications are created, and how I can use the skills that were used in the job 24 app to potentially create my own application. And I feel like it shouldn't take that long for most people if they just got some guidance. And although I am not the prime, I'm not the best source out there to learn mobile application creation, but I feel like this point of view from a non-developer is going to help other non-developers find out about how if I will address some of the things that they're having a lot of trouble with. And I don't think developers would really understand that non-developers struggle with these sorts of things, like, because it just may be too simple for them. And so I decided to make this video to offer some guidance, so that they can go about, non-developers and other people that don't know how to code can start creating applications at a faster rate than I did when I was well, than I have than when I first started with without any like video guidance, and I just had to piece things together. All right, so far I've been on this application. We have added the search bar and some data. Let's see, some panels, and you're gonna need a lot of panels most of the time. Panels are so placement mats basically. Like you put in panels and then you can set that section. You can customize that section, and you can put in components into those panels, and it doesn't. I mean, adding more panels is never. It's not that difficult. You just drag and drop, and adding things and removing things. Very extremely simple, and that's the one thing I really like about Nest. It's just everything's simple with adding and removing. So they've made editing very simple, and that's why, although it can seem complicating at first because it's such easy editing, that I can see potential. It's you just get the hang of how things work, and I feel like you'll be able to piece together applications in no time because you can add and remove and edit all the properties, all that stuff very quickly. It's just about the whole knowing and not knowing how to create your application, what tools you need. That is what really holds you back. Other than that, I feel like Nest offers a very good solution to creating applications without any code. Okay. Right now, I have incorporated the Ajax components. The Ajax components are very let's say difficult components. Difficult because coming from an non-coder, non-developer, I had no idea what Ajax component did, and I just followed what it did in the application when I was piecing it together. And what it seems to me it does is that it gathers data, data that you need for the application to work properly. And in this case, it's going to gather job data, and the job data it's able to gather through a server which that seems to offer. And but the thing is, you have to direct the component to where to get the data, and that was something very new. I've never done that before. I've never had to direct something to a certain URL and give it a source in order for it to bring data. Um, from the video right now, you can see that we are at the workflow tab. The workflow tab is huge. The workflow tab is probably one of the single things that I enjoy most. It's probably the single thing I enjoy most about Nest is that other than, all the simple options of including, adding, editing components and the application itself, I feel like the workflow tab, as you get to use Nest, it just becomes like your best friend. It's amazing because I'm saying, like, as you look at it right now, it doesn't seem like it's anything, but it really allows you to set your events and visually see how the events are all connected. And setting events on the UI page or user interface page where we were at before when we were like designing the form and stuff, it's just very, it can be difficult at times, let's say, because you don't know how to get the forms from one component. I mean, not forms, but you don't know how to get the component and the events associated with from one component to the other. And it's just, it can be very frustrating. And the workflow window really, simplifies that down, because I mean, you have a map, you have all the components there, and you're using the link and you're linking the components together. Okay, here's the session config. I have session config window. I have no idea. I still have no idea what it's supposed to do. I just copied what I'm supposed to do. I just did what I'm supposed to do, what I found in the JOB24 completed sample application on it. I just did what it had, and that's what I put in. But the workflow window, remember that this is where event event directing event directing is made simple, and events are the functions that each component has. And that's the huge thing about applications, events, because you have all these moving parts, all these components, and they all have a small event or small function, and they all come together to serve a bigger function. So in this app, which would be to find temporary jobs in your current location or in your desired location under certain specified criteria and stuff like that. And so for the most part of this video, you're just gonna see me editing, because editing is huge. I'm just going to be setting the height, or overall the dimensions, and the color, and its placement throughout the entire video, and it's huge. That's all. Basically, that's the biggest part about application creation or application development with Nest. You're just editing for the main part, because that's what customizes your application, what kind of component you decide to use and how you edit it. And from what I can see is that a lot of components are available right now, but more can be available. And components are created by developers, and developers create these components, and they can make it so that it's usable or purchasable by other users. Developers and non-developers alike can get these components and use it for themselves. And that's why I think if Nest were to get big, it really would provide a source to it would be a real source to app creation for non-developers, because components would just continue to appear and appear, and with each with its own function or like specific function, and that would make their application creation possibilities a lot more bigger, because there's more tools to work with. Also, another thing that you just saw on the screen was I just saved and pressed the simulator. The integrated simulator that Nest offers, I mean, I use that thing all the time, and it's just very helpful because it really shows you your progress, your application progress, and it's just real time application progress checking. And it just allows you to see if everything is running the way you want it to, and if your application is looking the way you want it to. And so it really helps you stay on track, or keep on track, more like. Okay, it's just, yeah, editing, background, border, box, shadow, yeah, just just lots and lots of editing. And right now I'm making it so that the list that is going to appear on the job app, the list, so that it appears in a very clean, very organized manner. And I'm just like creating that space for it. Okay, what else about Nest? Just just keep determined and keep working at it. And it can be very overwhelming at the beginning. I understand because I had the same experience. I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is there's a lot of things here, and I just don't know where to start and what to do. So that's why I decided to get the sample application, the Job24 application, and break it all down and piece it back together because I feel that was the best choice for me to learning how to develop applications. And although there are tutorials in the user guide that's available now, and I think it was in the Windows section. Yeah, I think Windows in the Windows section. There is a oh no, it's in the help section. That's right, help. And in the help section, there is a tutorial available on how to make a very simple application very fast, and it breaks it down for you step by step, and that's nice. It's it gives you a feeling of development, but I wanted to create something a lot more intricate than that, and I felt like this job 24 sample application, if I learned how to piece all this together, there was a lot for me to learn because it has a variety, large amount of components that are in use, and the level of customization, editing, and style, and user interface, and how it looks very professional. And I wanted to be able to create an application. I wanted to see if I could create an application of that caliber without knowing at all how to code. And after 2 months, I realized that yeah, it is very possible. It's just I need to put in some time, and I just had to put in some time and get to know like how the platform functioned and each component, what kind of functions they offered, so that in the future when I make my own application, I can keep all these things in mind, and when I'm planning things out, I can plan out with the component functions in mind, so that I know like, oh, I need to add this first, so that the data is sent from this form to another form, And another big thing that I learned is that events are huge. As I noted before, the workflow tab. That's why the workflow tab is so important, because events are what makes the app, and you really want to constantly be checking like where the events are going, and if you directed the events correctly and all that stuff. And as you will see soon, as you can see, I'm looking at the workflow tab, and yeah, the events, you might want to organize the workflow tab a little bit when you're looking at when more and more events start to stack up, and but it's still a lot better than checking each component and seeing where each one is being directed to. And as you can see, the session one and the main form that's connected to it, everything is connected by the events right now. And there was a wrong event on there, so I just removed it, and I'm gonna direct it to the correct event. And see, super fast, right? It's just you just delete it and you just link it back together, or not link, but use the arrow, because link is the component they use as link is a component used in Nest as to show to put together the form relations, and forms are pieced together in a way that there's different types of forms, and you want them to go from page to page to page, and if you want all that to happen, you gotta link it together with this component called links, or you know I keep using link as a verb, but you know, link is a tool that Nest offers, and to put together the forms or link together the forms. Okay. Also another thing, when you're creating an application, you really want to be saving, and remember to save quite often and run the simulator. I feel that it's very important to save and run simulator because, well, if you don't save, the simulator isn't going to run the what you have done up until that point. So, you know, there's that. And when you do save, I mean, so it's just basically just in case something goes wrong, and so you don't lose all your hard work, because no one wants that, right? Okay. Um, well, for the most part, this main form is complete right now. As you can see, a lot of you know a lot of what was first done is just data organization and how the data is going to go from the source to the main form, the job listing, and also the editing of the components and basically making the UI. And now we're going to add in more forms, and forms are there's a variety of forms. There's a login form, main form, logic form, layer form, start form, and for the most part, login and start and main form. Main form and start form for the most part are going to be the same thing, because I don't see why else you wouldn't keep the main form as the start form. And the main form is indicated by the red box, and the start form is indicated by the play arrow that's on the box. And just like you can see on this in this instance, that the main form is the start form, and right now we're just, like I said before, or like I mentioned before, we're linking all the forms together. Forms can easily be added, and forms, like I mentioned before, also is they are the pages of your application, and forms are very important because when you visualize creating your own application, you really want to know how many forms you're going to be using and how they're going to flow together. And then second to that, it would be, customization of each form, and how you want everything to look, and what kind of events you want things to function with, from form to form. So keep those things in mind. So forms are the pages of your application, and events are your components functions, and you can organize all that in the workflow. And properties for each component allows you to edit the components. I think those are the key factors that you should learn from this first video. Upcoming videos will discuss other parts of application development. And thanks for watching, guys. I will see you soon. All right, bye. Thank you.